I'm so excited this summer to offer a week-long in-person workshop this year at Sidwell French School through their Summer Equity and Justice Institute. The focus of my workshop is to help high school students discover who they are, their unfair advantage, what they stand for, their core values, and what they want to achieve in life. To best serve my students, I carefully selected a group of young leaders to speak with my students and share their incredible leadership experiences. And Priti Sutaria is one of my student leaders. Today, I'm really excited to interview her and learn more about her accomplishments and what contributed to her success. Priti is an MBA degree holder. She's currently working as a program manager at affiliated distributors. Priti and I first met through a TEDx conference several years ago, organized by her at Rutgers University. So I still remember I first gave a talk to her university several years ago, and then several months later, she reached out to me and invited me to speak at their TEDx event. I was so honored. At the time, all of the TEDx speakers, definitely including myself, we were so impressed by Pariti's leadership skill, communication skill, and teamwork skill and organizational skill. We were just so impressed. So today, it is my great honor to interview her and have her speak with my students this summer in person at the Sidwell Summer French School. So really excited and really honored. So Priti, thank you so much for your time. I'm really excited for today's conversation.
Likewise, thank you so much for inviting me, Dr. I, not only for this conversation, but also for your Sidwell camp this summer. I'm so excited, not only for you, but for the students who are going to get
I
to learn
know.
from you and everything that you do. And I think your work is just so inspiring. I still remember your TEDx talk about schools, present day schools being obsolete and how true learning happens outside of the classroom. And I
Oh,
am one of the biggest believers of that. My entire career has been majority of my learning has happened outside of the classroom, and I'm just so grateful to, have met you so many years ago, and have worked with you for so long. And now that
I
we're able to have
know.
this conversation, I'm excited.
And I'm excited to actually connect in person in a few months.
Yes,
So it
for
will be our first
sure.
time. Yeah.
It's crazy how times work. Like I've known you for over
Oh my gosh.
6 years, and we have not seen each other in person. I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. So share with us for those people who don't know you. Please add more to my very short introduction to you. I know you are so much more than what I said. So please add more details to what I just said about you.
I appreciate that. Thanks. So, for everyone, my name is Pariti. I met Dr. I years ago when I was a student at Rutgers University and had started a nonprofit through TED, a TEDx national, like received a TEDx national license to host TEDx conferences in the city and at the university. And that was while I was a student at Rutgers. And since then, I've gotten my undergrad degree in statistics, leadership, and business management, and then my MBA in digital marketing as well. And currently, as Dr. I mentioned, I work as a program content manager, doing a lot of like speaker sourcing and management for conferences all over the country at a corporate firm in Vane, Pennsylvania called Affiliated Distributors. But that's what
Yeah.
I do currently. I think my life, though, and in general, what I like to do is a lot more than just, I think, those titles and degrees or like my job and those things. I consider myself a generalist for sure. I have so many different passions and interests and so many different things I'm simultaneously doing. I don't think I've ever had one job only in the last decade. I've always worked multiple jobs and multiple projects. And so, aside from that, like TED was a large part of what I did, I would say first half of this decade. And now my focus is slowly, going towards like community building and content curation, storytelling in its most authentic human form. And I'm we're working on a variety of different projects as it relates to that, both hobbies related and professional. But yeah, I'm sure we can talk more about it as we get into it.
I love that. Yes. So speaking of, and we're definitely going to get into your other hobbies and interests, and we're definitely going to ask you more about that. But I want to focus on TEDx for a second. Like most young people, we know that, hey, maybe they will start a club. Okay. That is already like impressive. Oh, wow, you did a club. But you went above and beyond. So what inspired you to create like TEDx organization? And that is definitely not a small task. I think most undergraduate, even graduate students, they do not wake up one day and think, oh my gosh, I think I need to start a TEDx conference and invite all the speakers, all the coaches. That is just so much to manage. So share with us, where did you gain that inspiration?
Yeah, I think firstly I'll start with like I have this like internal belief in myself that like if I put my mind to it, I will make it happen. So I will start with like that general belief system that I carry. Like I'm like if and I think people in my life feel that way about me too. Like if I'm saying I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna make it happen somehow. And so I'll say like when with TED, I at that time I was just so young and I did not have any event experience, did not have any speaker experience, but I wanted to make it happen and I did. But like the backstory to that is during COVID, I had a goal at that time that I was gonna watch one TED Talk a day, and that was just because I was
Wow.
like in a slump, and I wanted to, and I loved watching TED Talks. I always felt inspired or like learning something new, and I'm very much like a fictional book reader, but I'm not much of like a nonfiction book reader. But like TED Talks, obviously you learn new things, but it was fun to watch them, and I was also learning. So in that lens, I've always just been gravitated towards them throughout my high school, middle school, high school, and then in college too. I was watching them. So during COVID year, I was like got back into it and I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch one a day. I like joined their newsletter, whatnot. And through that journey, I was like writing different like articles, like what I learned in this week's TED Talks or like things like that. And then one day in their newsletter, they had mentioned that and I didn't even know this. They have applications for community organizers to get a license to host TED conferences in their city or in their university. And I was like, just the idea of that made me so inspired because I'm like, wow, I'm watching this like on my screen. Like, what if I was curating this? What if I was organizing
Mm.
this? All of these people that I was listening to, I'm like, I can meet them. I can connect with speakers like that. Like that is literally, it was just something I was like, I would love to do this. And it was on a whim, like I just applied. I applied and I got the license. And I think at that time I was like, oh my God, this is real. I'm gonna make this happen. And then that's when the journey started and I like connected with the executive team at the universities, at the colleges in the city, and I just did so much community organizing. And I mean, from there, it's a story, and we can, I'm sure we can get into it if you want. But that the start of it was like I wanted to create that, and I thought Camden was the best city for that because it had so much community and culture and art. And I think Camden honestly gets a bad rep at times because of its history.
Mm.
But I think the city has and still has so much to offer, and being able to bring speakers from all over the world to that city was exactly what I wanted to accomplish. And I'm so glad we were able to do that for like 5 years.
It's just incredible. It's from ideation to execution, right? So many people have ideas, but so few people actually put their ideas into action. So I love you from this ideation, so some emails and newsletter, and then complete execution and reality. So that is really incredible. And I know, so with your leadership, you grew the team from one person or zero, and then you one person to a team of 20. So I'm sure, as an entrepreneur myself, growing a team is never an easy task. So share with us, as you grew this organization, your team, what are some of the biggest challenges that you had to overcome? At the same time, what are some of the benefits that you have gained as a result of this experience? So challenges and benefits.
Yeah. So I would say like creating that team was hard for me at first because I didn't have a project plan in place. I'm very much like an analytical person in terms of planning and timelines and very type A in that lens. And so I had this license, but I didn't have any event experience. I didn't have any organizing or speaker experience. So and at that time, we didn't have ChatGPT. I feel like now if I think of creating a project plan, I'm like, let me put it into AI and it'll give me the steps. at that time, nothing like that exists. I feel
Oh
like a
my
dinosaur
gosh.
saying that. Mind you, it was like 5 years ago, but like chat, like I was not using AI in any form. It was just me and my brain at that time. And so I'm like, how will I make this happen? And I like looked at what other organizers were doing, and I created a plan for like this team, like for what I had was envisioning. I created like a PowerPoint deck, and it was just such an exciting time. I still remember the feeling I got,
You know
and
what?
I had
Sorry to interrupt you, but I can feel the excitement, the passion, even though this was quite a few years ago. So I just love that. I can literally feel this across the screen. So sorry, continue.
Yeah, thanks. Yes, I was like so excited at that time, and I was like, "This is so cool." So I created a whole timeline of like, "This is what we would need. This is what we would need." And what I was ultimately creating was a conference over a year out. Like I knew I couldn't. I got a license, and then next month I'm gonna have a conference with hundreds of people and like 40 speakers and everything. Like that wasn't. I knew that wasn't realistic at all, and I also knew I needed funding. So I'm like,
Mm,
okay, like realistically, if I want a conference a year out like working back from that timeline, here's what I need to get done. And then once I realized like to get to this final vision of this conference at this, theater in this city with blank amount of registrants and blank amount of speakers, like what do I need to do to get there? And I kind of worked backwards and I created this timeline. From there, I came up with 4 teams that to achieve each part of it. I was like, okay, we'll have like a marketing, logistics, that would like the tech registration, all of that. We would have a curation team and then a finance team. Finance could do the sponsorships, funding, curation, which is what I was most passionate about and why I did TED in the first place was the actual sourcing, applications, speakers, working with the speaker coaches, and you were a part of it. It's like 6 to 8 month long process where you start from a script all the way to final memorized execution of a 15-minute talk. So much goes into that, but
mhm,
that curation was like a large part of it, and then the other things. And looking at all of it, I knew I wasn't going to do it alone, and I needed support. And I decided, like, I looked at the people in my life then, and in all aspects of it. Even at the university I had just started at, I initially had transferred there, and I was in things like student government and a couple other clubs, and I was looking at the students there and just like who could like co-lead with this with me, and then also who's passionate enough, because TED wasn't just a club. Like most
mm,
clubs, you might put in an hour a week, you might attend a
exactly.
general body. There's no such thing. Like this was a full-time job for us. And years down the road, I was able to get it like paid, and so it was like a job. Like the I was getting paid to do it. And within like funding and all of that. But at that time, it was complete volunteer effort, as in like no one was getting paid to do anything. And these were students who also had full-time jobs. So I knew I had to also get people in that were truly passionate about what this
Mm,
was, because it's not really a resume builder. I mean,
mm,
yeah, it's had name carries, but like you had to put in so much work that you can't just have it on there to have it on there. It would require a lot of time. So that was like my reasoning behind like having this whole elaborate plan. And then I was like doing like mass messaging all over, telling people like, this is what I need. These are the skills you can gain from this. This is a brand new, like, think of it like a startup, but it will pay off if you care about the city, if you care about the community, if you care about organizing, and connection and all of those things. And I would say the challenges that I ran into, to answer your question after this context, is that I at that time was brand new to this, and I
mm,
wasn't, now you can say like I was a leader in retrospect, but at that time it was just my project, and I had no people management experience. And so I was just doing things just delegation wise. Like I wasn't necessarily, I was running a team, but it was more so like tasks. And I would say that was challenging at the beginning because I didn't know what to expect. I was my first time. It was the people I was working with first time.
mm,
So I was kind of treating it as like a group project. But I think oftentimes the people who I'm working with are, treating it like I am the leader of it.
mm,
So like they're expecting me to kind of serve as like the poster child for this because it is my project for sure, but
Mm.
I was honestly treating it more like a group project. And I think like setting out boundaries and guidelines beforehand to see like what is it that you are expecting out of this and what other people are expecting out of it and what your true position within it is ha was and is so important in years after. And even to this day, like I carry my role is versus what someone else's role is because the gray area is where problems occur. And I feel like that in the corporate world too, where I am, whenever I start anything, I have a project plan, I have a timeline, and I have a roles and responsibilities list. Like, this is what I'm owning, this is what I'm doing, this is what this other person's owning and doing, who's the decision maker, all of
Mm.
those things. So, I'd say like lots of, I mean, you can imagine so many things are challenging when you're brand new to something, but I definitely learned a lot from that. And the benefit I got from TED that still carries is the network I made.
Mm.
The network is the number one thing, and I will say network is the number one thing, probably going to be in all my answers for anything you ask, is literally the people I met, not just like the speakers from all over the world that we were bringing in, but the people that were helping me even within the university, so many people that had attended other TEDx's that wanted to help out, my own team members who I still like, and we went through like I feel like a millennium through that, like
Mm.
that was so much blood sweat tears almost that I feel like I'll carry that memory and that project with them for such a long time. And the network that I made through something like that is what it means the most to me.
Yeah, I love just like everything you said. I love it so much. But what really stood out to me the most is how you actually started executing without any like academic or degree. You said that you didn't have event like planning experience, you didn't have people management. So I think this is such an important takeaway for young people or parents watching this because so many of us we will wait or I will do that until I have the degree, until I have this or that. But you kind of just like rolling up your sleeves. I don't know how to do this, but you were willing to figure it out on your own and with a team of people who are really passionate about this. I think that is just so incredible. And I really hope everyone listening to this or watching this can really catch that because I think that is something that people oftentimes are afraid to do without having something under their belt, like that fear, they will be stopped by the fear. So I really, really love that. And I want to highlight that.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I think that's the true power of being like a generalist is like I always believe like any skill set I can gain, I can build on it. So let me start and I'll build on it. I'll get better at it. So I'm
Mm.
never like afraid to start something because I mean the worst that can happen is I stop it, but I rather start it in the first place.
Sorry.
Hi, Ethan.
So I love that. So in this context, talking about professional experience, last time when you and I chatted, and you said that you have been prioritizing gaining professional experience since you were a high schooler, which is again very impressive. And listen to this, everyone. By the time she graduated from school, she already has not one, not two, not three, but six years of professional working experience. That is quite unheard of. And I have been working in education for 20 plus years. And I don't think there are lots of young people who are like you. So here's my question. Whereas most young people, they focus on their academic, right? Their GPA, their courses, what should I do? AP classes, all of that, which is important. But I'm curious, what inspired you to also prioritize earning so much professional work experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've kind of touched on this in our previous conversations, but I think being like a woman of color, an immigrant in America, and like I think coming to America at such a young age and trying to build a life here with my family, it's a lot already. And I've only ever seen my parents work. And I was kind of like on that route too of I want to, live a life and build a life where I don't necessarily have to experience the same hardships and struggles that
Mm.
I was seeing my parents experience at that time. And so I think from a very young age, especially coming here, my only goal mindset was like coming outside of that rat race and like getting a good education, then getting into good college and getting a good job and like this like, the dream that I think lots of like immigrant students, kids have. families have almost. And I was on that path for sure. And I was even in middle school and a little bit in high school, that student who was like president of 10 clubs and doing this extracurricular and community service and all of those things, because I think that's what I was supposed to do to get into a good college. And
Mm,
I think that mindset still carries, where it's like, yes, good grades are important, GPA is important, SAT scores are important, but to really get to that next level, you also have to have more like a holistic, well-rounded something else that you can, say about yourself. And so I was always in doing so many different things. Um, One, I think I liked them, not that I didn't, but two, because I wanted to get out there. And I picked a couple projects that I knew I especially loved, that I wanted to prioritize and grow
mm,
on. And I was able to do that in high school. And then getting into undergrad is when I kind of shifted from, okay, this is the things that I'm doing to get into good school, but now that I'm here, now I'm in college and I'm thinking about the future, what is it? I didn't know. I was finally here. Like I'd reached the spot I had been thinking about my entire life of like college, but I'm like, okay, so what now? And
mm,
this idea of just having like one job for the rest of my life, or like one career, felt like I was boxing myself in, because I've always liked doing 10 different things. And I've always been that way. And so I was like, I don't like that. I'm gonna do as many things as I can that I like doing. So that was like one thing. The second thing I would say was financially in general. Like I had gotten a full ride, but the full ride was great for those 4 years. But like what next? Like my day to day, I was financially supporting myself in every other aspect. So I always, anyway, since I was 14, I've been working anyway, at least one job just to financially support myself. And so I would say working in that lens has always existed. But then I slowly pivoted from just working because I need the money to like also working because I can work a job that can pay me money, but that I also like doing. And that's where like a lot of like on campus jobs kind of helped me in that lens, because I was not just like, oh, let me like, I think initially it's fine to like work at the mall and work here and work there and like get there, but like once I was like in undergrad, I'm like, I need to make sure I also get work experience that I can grow on, that will help me
mm,
after I graduate. So it makes sense. And I didn't, I'm not just going to do like a summer internship for 1 or 2 months every summer, when I felt one, like I was going to be working anyway all year round, might as well make it something that I like doing and I want to be, experiencing in the future. And because I didn't know what I wanted to do, I was also willing to explore so many different
mm,
routes. And while I was on campus, I worked as like a tutor. I worked at the research center. I worked as a marketing specialist at the business school. I feel like I have worked in almost like every semester, like a different on-campus department, but touched on like every vertical. I worked in admissions. I worked in financial aid. I worked at the library. I worked in IT. I worked at the business school doing marketing, like just random. But I was, there were jobs. I was making money, and I was getting to experience so many different
mhm,
types of people, departments, and learn lots of life skills that made me realize, like, okay, like this is what this means, or this is what this takes. And it prepared me so much that when I was doing those like corporate internships every summer and all of those things, I was excelling. I was like coming up at the top because I already had work experience enough and people experience enough during the school year, that during those, I would say, like corporate internships or externships or shadowing opportunities, I was able to showcase myself as a professional.
mhm, mhm. I love that. I think that is definitely our impression when I say our, just me and several other speakers at the TEDx conference. You were so professional. We were surprised that you were actually just a student. I'm like, no way. She's like, no way. Because I was chatting with some other, we're just like bragging about you, how impressed we were. So I fully understand where that professionalism and sense of maturity actually came from through years of accumulation of professional experience. That's really good. And I'm also curious, like I love how you are trying all of those different things. Did doing this help you figure out the things that you were really passionate about? Like after you try this and that,
Yeah.
mission, technology, marketing, like okay, that is what I really want to do. Did that ever happen? I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, for sure it did. Like there was, I mean, so many jobs I did where I'm like, I don't like doing this task, but I love this team. Other jobs where I'm like,
Mm,
I like the work I'm doing, but I don't like this manager. Like there's so many things and it showed me like my working style, how I communicate best, what my strong suits are. Because when you work in different jobs, you see like things you're always getting complimented for versus things you're, always
mm,
trying to improve on. So I'm like, oh wow, no, like I do have these skills. Everyone's always pointing out that I'm great at like, oh, I'm great at organizing. I'm great at my time management skills. I'm great at like planning things out in advance and like doing community building for them. And so I was able to kind of also learn more about myself and my skill set
mm,
by doing a variety of different things and people. And it also made me a better leader and a people manager at the same end. Because when you experience a good manager and a bad manager, you also realize like how you want to show up for the people around you. And at that time, TED was just getting started and I was kind of taking those in for myself too. Like, I know how it feels to be, the victim of a micromanager. I never want to be that for the people that, I'm working with. Um, versus I see how much like great feedback and like communication skills from this manager is affecting me that even though those tasks I don't love, I just love this job because of this manager and I want to showcase and come, be that person for the people around me. And so not only did it help me with like skills and specific things, like whether it's like creating marketing material or web design, like an example in terms of technical skills is like when you're doing it for so many different things, like by the end of it, I was like making websites on all of the platforms, like Wix and like Squarespace and this because like every team was using something different, and I was like, you get so many different technical skills on so many different
yeah, so
things
versatile.
on that lens, but then also people skills as well. So it was very intentional for me, and I think job hopping is often in the real world and corporate world is like frowned upon, and I definitely see why. Like there's a place for that too, but I think when you're a student, you get a pass. Like it's okay if I
Mm,
had a different job every semester. And I was able to build my resume when I was applying to other things each one to that specific industry. So if I was applying to like a marketing role, I had like three marketing jobs I could put on my resume. And if I was applying to like a more management or a customer service role or a planning role, I had like other experiences I could showcase for that application. So I didn't even have like one resume that like had all of this experience. It was more so I was able to create different resumes for different types of positions because I had so many different like types of experiences that could apply to, those different verticals. So yeah, the different things definitely help me out. And I think being a student, you get so many passes. When you're a student, you're an intern, like I don't think people or students realize that now because they think like they can make no mistakes. But like this is the only time you can. Like
yeah.
after this you can't. And you'll be penalized. But I think this is the time where you can try different things and ask questions and talk to people and even ask to talk to people that I think as an employee you
Mm,
might not be able to. When
yeah.
I was working as a marketing specialist at like one of the on-campus spaces, I had asked to like have a meeting with like someone like that was like a director or something, just to network, just to learn more. But I mean, the marketing specialist who's like an employee there, like that's their full-time real job, might not get a meeting with the director. It might be a very different conversation than me, a student, just asking to like network or like have a coffee chat. And I think when you are a student, people are so much more willing to talk to you. I think they're because they don't think that you have another intention other than just
Mm,
being a student. So it's okay to be
mm.
like, hey, like, can I talk to you? I want to learn more. And that's so easy to do as a student versus, you know, when you're in corporate and then you're asking randomly and they're like, why do you want to talk to me?
Yeah, no hidden agenda. I love that. I'm so glad you mentioned this because this is what I share with the students all the time. Take advantage of that student tab title, right? So I really, really love that. I hope everyone is hearing this. That is, yeah, like if a random person reach out to me to do blah, 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 99% I would say no. However,
Yeah,
every single time if a student reach out to me, 100% I would say yes, because I
yeah.
know the student really needs some extra help. There's no hidden agenda. This person not trying to sell me something. And so I'm,
Exactly, exactly. But I get LinkedIn connections randomly all the time, and I'm like, this person, like, I'm like, is there a hidden, like, what is happening? But as soon as they're like, I'm a student, and I'm like, oh, like, it's just so easy. It's because you want to help, and that exactly. There's no hidden agenda or or anything in general, and you're willing to help. So I think you like taking advantage of that tag is something that I don't see many students do enough. And I'm like,
Exactly.
no, you can use this tag and do anything.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I just so agree, totally agree. Yeah. And I still remember, I wonder if you can share the story real quick, because after we connected last time, this story stayed with me for a while. So there was a job that you kind of walked into an office and you created yourself this job. I think it was the marketing research. And by the end of the 4 year period, you were actually managing the entire program or something like that. That was such an incredible story that showed your audacity and your execution, leadership, communication skills. So share that real quick. Like that is so incredible. Like how you
Yes,
literally created a job for yourself and eventually became the leader of that position. That was just so powerful.
yeah. I had seen there was an opening within that it was like a research center, and I'd applied and I'd gotten it, and I started off just as like a helper almost, and I brought in like so many ideas, so many things that I could do. Like I think it's important to go above and beyond, and like especially this, so they get to see like what you're bringing to the table, and once you execute on it, it's like they trust you because it's like, hey, I can show you what I can do, and I can take this to the next level if you believe in what I am bringing to the table. And think I had started as like a coordinator specialist, and but I was the only person doing marketing at all. Like it was their first time doing marketing within that center, and it was just me. And I kind of basically took that, and in a year we had so many different channels. We had a website going, we had like mass campaigns going out, and I was ultimately managing marketing single-handedly and reporting to the director at that time because there was no one else in marketing at that time. So I think going above and beyond then gave me the opportunity to ask and say, "Hey, I want my title to reflect the work that I'm doing." And initially I started off as this, but like I have completely blew that away, and I'm now doing all of this. And I was, able to become like marketing manager for that center and get that title. And I think titles at the time really mattered a lot, and things are a bit more fluid in the industry right now, but at that time it was like something I was adding to my resume, and I was still a student, but I was like able to say, hey, I managed marketing for an entire center, and here's everything I did. And I was able to showcase all of those results, get a recommendation from the director themselves, and able to like just always just create a name for myself wherever I was going. Because and I'm not saying like hard work is only the answer because there's so many other factors to it, but by putting in 100% of me and the work that I was putting, I knew I was not leaving any, like I was giving my best. So then if it's in my control, all that was in my control is that I was giving my all to the work that I was doing. And I always associate that with my personal brand. I think there's lots of things that I often do where the larger picture, I'm like, I don't really know how I feel about this, or like this doesn't really relate to me or whatever. But if I am going to put something into it, I'm going to make sure that piece of it is going to reflect me. So I think the question I ask in almost any task I do, whether big or small, is like, if this is going to reflect me and my work ethic and what I stand for, I'm going to make sure it does that well. And like anything that I'm doing showcases like who I am in 100% of it. So I think I also have like that innate wand to make sure that whatever work that I'm producing or outputting is a reflection of my personal brand, and it can speak for itself.
Yeah. And even this collaboration with me, like last time when we did the collaboration for TEDx, I was impressed. And even this time, just how you showed up, how you communicate with me, facilitate everything, follow up with me on everything. I'm like impressed again, right? So I love it. So everything you do is a reflection of your work ethic. Like, yeah, like if great things come up again in the future, which I'm sure will, I will
Yeah.
definitely think of you. Hey, reach out to Pretty. Let's do something again. So I really love that. I also love that you mentioned personal brand, and I want to spend a few minutes talking about this. And you mentioned like having personal brand is very important. I still remember you and I first connected after I think I did a guest talk at your school. You reached out to me through LinkedIn. I was like, wow, I was already impressed at the time. And so share with us, why do you think having a personal brand is so important, and even having a LinkedIn presence? Why is this so important?
Yeah, and I'll add a networking piece about this too because I think it matters. But I think your personal brand is like what you carry to wherever you go, whatever you do. I think the work that you produce is oftentimes for something else. Whether even if it's your own business, it's for that business. If it's for a company you're working for, it's for that company. I think anything that you produce is just going out in the world, but something that is yours is your personal brand, how you're being
Mm,
perceived. And I think that is what gets you to that next level in anything, whether it's corporate, whether it's in like in any space that you're in, whether it's even in friendships in general, like any part of your life, your personal brand and how you're reflecting and standing by what you think you believe in and how other people perceive you is sticks with you. It's literally you. So it's like, what do people think of when they think of you? And that's going to reflect how they treat you,
yeah.
where the trajectory of your life goes. I think anything that has carried me in the last decade has just been my personal brand.
Mm,
The projects come and go, my
mm,
titles come and go, all of those things. But something that has been, consistent for me is my name. Like when people speak about me, of me, for me, when people are speaking about me in rooms that I am not a part of,
mm,
I know that my personal brand will speak for itself because like I do work that I know is like will reflect that in a positive way. Um, and I think the reason that like LinkedIn presence like adds to that is because not everyone that's also sometimes people's first impression of you when you're connecting in present day age. Um, and I think my LinkedIn, at least, I want that to reflect the work that I'm
mm,
doing, what it is that my I want my personal brand to speak for as well. And so of course like your LinkedIn has to match like who you are as a person, but I think they are one and the same. It's like what you're producing out and the work that you're doing is reflective of that. And the networking piece that I wanted to add as advice of like that personal brand thing is that a lot of and I job market's like really bad right now. I know for a
mm.
fact. I'm not really relating it to that. I think lots of great people with great skills, unfortunately, due to the economic conditions right now, are not getting jobs. And so not reflecting that at all present day. But like in general, when it comes to like networking, I think a lot of people make the mistake of networking only when they
Mm.
it. So like right now, it's like job market's bad, and it's like all of these students, so many people, not just students, like my peers, people ages older than me, younger than me. So various people are just networking now. Like they're going out to people, hiring managers that they see hiring on LinkedIn, and if you're in the market to be like, hey, like, can you connect me? Can you refer me? I probably get like 5 people a day asking to like refer me or like refer themselves, sorry, for like a different job, or I'm their referral, or they don't know me, but they might reach out and be like, hey, I saw this opening at your company. Can I apply? Can I put your name down in the referral section? And I'm like, it's someone I don't know at all, like randomly. And I think like at times I'm willing to help, other times I'm like, I don't know, like what's, there is no connection here. And
Yeah.
I think that's the mistake that a lot of people make is just only networking when they need it. When in reality, you should be networking 1, 2, 3 years out before you need it. And I think that is the one single thing that helped me get to where I am today is networking when I was in middle school, high school, undergrad. I'm not even like I made a LinkedIn when I was in middle school. And similar to you, someone would come speak at my school and I would message them the next day, like, hey, thank you so much for being a speaker at like the blank middle school. Loved your talk, would love to stay connected on LinkedIn. And like sounds insane right now. I was like 13 years old, 14 years old doing that. But that was at that time. I mean, slowly it's grown. And in undergrad, I was doing so many informational interviews. COVID year, I had a goal of doing 5 informational interviews a week. And I would just reach out to so many people that if you reach out to 50, 5 will say yes. So like every Sunday night, I'm doing like my usual 50. That's like what I did for over 2 years. And I still have a
Wow.
long list because I would take notes during those interviews of like I'd say hundreds of people that I've interviewed who are in roles, different companies that I just were interesting within business management, marketing, planning. They're like, hey, like I'm a student, I'm like a first year or second year, third year, wherever it was at that time. Would love to learn more about like what you do, how you got there, your company. And like 15, 20-minute Zoom coffee chats were pretty popular during COVID time. So I would say like more people were willing to say yes. I guess now if you reach out to 50, maybe to say yes. At that time, I reached out to 55 said yes. But I would sit down with them 15, 20 minutes, just talk to them. And I think doing that when I didn't need it, I was just doing that just to learn more at that time. I am then 2 years later able to build on that connection and say like, hey, like it's not like no contact for 2 years. Once I have that informational interview, I know about them. I have taken notes, right? And so like on LinkedIn, you get like a ping for like when it's a work anniversary. You get a ping for when it's their birthday. You get a ping for when their job changes. I was on that every day. I make sure I check that list every day. Happy birthday. Happy 2 year work anniversary. Like, like congrats on your new role. And I was doing that like all the time. So they were not only that first informational interview, they would hear from me. And at that time, and I should probably get back on this, but at that time, every winter season, I would do like a holiday newsletter. And it was more just like to individually each person, but generally the same template, like, hey, like happy holidays, wishing you the best. It was great talking to you earlier this year. Would love to hear what you're up to. And then I would write 2 paragraphs of like everything I did that year. Like this year I did this, and I'm working on this, and these are my future goals, and would love to hear what you're up to and support you in anything you're doing. And I think people love that. Like almost everyone is
Wow.
like doing something on their own. Like they're writing a book or they have a podcast or they need like a YouTube subscriber. Like most people that I was working with weren't just like blank title. They also most people are doing something on the side. They have a side business, they have a podcast, they have a book, they have a YouTube in general or they have like personal things that they're working on. And so I would always showcase that too. Like I'm happy to, write a review, read your book, write subscribe to your YouTube videos, whatever it is. And I would say the same, like, here's what I'm working on, here's what I'm doing. I started a new henna business. I'm working on learning videography with like a wedding crew. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I did that like during the winters every year. Like I would do like massing like 100 people that I had interviewed that year or even the year before and say like, hey, like haven't seen you in a while. Would love to reconnect. Here's what I'm working on. Would love to hear from you. I'd say more than half would respond, say like so glad to hear from you. Happy to hear you're doing well. Like wishing you the best. Let me know if I can help you. Just people loved that. And it was over email. And I was able to get that connection going. Mind you, I've never met any of these people in person. And it's informational interview maybe that I had once or twice. And I then that's how I got all my internships during college. That's how I got my first full-time job. I worked at a tech company. How I would get referrals on referrals. I would end every informational interview, I would end it with like, hey, is there anyone else in your network you think I would benefit from like speaking to as a student in business? And they're like, oh yeah, like I know someone who would be great to talk to. And that's an even more meaningful connection because like I might have cold messaged them but then they are the one conducting that introduction for me and saying like, oh yeah, I can connect you to like blank person on my team or blank, referral I have, and it'd be great for you to talk to them and learn more about this. And so I think there's like so many just things that I was able to gain and do, and I was able to just build a really solid network when I didn't need it at that time, so that when I did graduate and I did need it, or like layoffs happened, this, that. I can just then be like, hey, I saw this opening at your company. Can you refer me? And they're so much more willing. They might even put in a good word to the hiring manager for me and all of that because it's like that connection was built over 1, 2, 3 years and very low maintenance, maybe 2 emails and one informational interview in the course of 3 years, but still so much more meaningful than like cold messaging someone and saying, hey, like, this is the first time you're hearing from me, but like, I need this from you. Like, no one's gonna help you when you need that. You have to work way in advance. You got to do the pre-work when you don't need it. And so that's when I'm like, oh, that's one thing I tell my sister, I tell everyone is like, you should network when you don't need it. So
Yeah.
that when you need it, you have it.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, my friend, this is so good. I didn't even know about this, and this is
Yeah.
so impressive. I think you are a queen at doing informational interview. You are so good. Seriously. Did you publish any of the interview or did you share anything? Did you like this? this is your asset. I'm just so curious.
I
What did
know,
you
yeah.
do with this?
Yeah, so during that time, like, I mean, I still have those documents and I really need to do something about it because it's not that long ago. I mean, this was like 2020 to 2022 even, but at the time, after I'd have an informational interview, at this time, I built a really strong LinkedIn network as well. I think at the time I had like maybe like 3,000 followers. Not a
Impressive.
lot, but like still a lot compared
I mean,
to
yes,
like
as a
less
student,
than
yes.
yeah, so 3,000 followers. So then after I had an informational interview, I would post like, hey, I just had a 15-minute chat with this person, and I would list 3 things I learned from them. And I did a
So
couple like
good.
that every week, and I would like highlight someone, and then they would repost and say, like, it was so great talking to you, blah, blah, blah. And so then that would like also help me make it like more real, more manageable, and then reach out to other people and say, like, hey, I interview people just to learn more about different careers. Like, I'm just a student. Would love to learn from you if you have 15 minutes of your time. And I think like I was also kind of helping build their brand based on what it is that they want to showcase about themselves and saying like, hey, I met this expert in product design at this company. And they in our 15-minute conversation, they said one, two, three. And like they love that. I love that. It
Oh,
works out.
so
So yeah.
good. This is such a textbook example, like such a solid playbook for how to do informational interview. Because I used to assign this as assignment to my students, but you just give me lots of additional new ideas that I wasn't even thinking about. I was taking notes like crazy, and I can't wait to implement some of those brilliant ideas that you just mentioned. This is so good. I'm sure this network, as you mentioned, this job, that internship, so good, so good. I love that. Thank you so much. And you're so good. So yeah. So clearly, this is my last question. So clearly, you are doing a lot. I don't know how you even manage the time to do like hundreds of interviews as a full-time student with so many side hustles. So you are full-time. You have a full-time job. You still work as an advisor for the TEDx, and you have several side hustles. So clearly you have a lot going on in your life. So how do you manage everything? Do you
Yeah.
don't do you now sleep a lot? Which I don't think is the case. So share with us, how do you stay so productive? That's my first question. And then I have a second follow-up question.
Yeah, so I would say the answer to that is being like an insane planner. I've talked to you about this. I have like 4 planners. I am an insane planner. My Google Calendar is color coded to the max. I map out time that for everything. That's like the short answer. The long answer to this is like the one exercise that I do for myself every quarter is the 168-hour week exercise. I think I learned this like in high school. We had to like someone talk about this. So it's carried with me for over, last over 8 years, 10 years. But every week there's 168 hours. And so like 24 times 7. I think I'm doing that right. But basically with that much time in a week, you subtract the time that you know that you need. So I'm like, okay, I want to get like 8 hours of sleep a night. So 8 times 7, 56. I'm gonna subtract 56. Okay, eat, sleep, shower, whatever. So like let's say you take out time like 2 hours a day on those things, and that's like minus 14. So basically you subtract the time of the things that you are not playing. I'm like, okay, I work 40 hours a week. I subtract 40 hours a week on my corporate job. And then it leaves me like I think 60 hours a week that's left. And let's say I'm like, okay, I'm gonna spend 10 hours a week with my friends. I'm gonna go out and we're gonna do this, that. Okay, so then like it basically ended up being where I have like 40 hours a week left, and I can either just do a whole other full-time thing or I can do multiple side things. And I obviously choose to do multiple side projects. During TED, it was 2 full-time jobs. I was doing TED and working. So I didn't have time for anything else. But now it's like I can use those 40 hours a week for those other side projects. So I kind of plan out my life by that. Not by the book in that lens, but when I'm thinking about what I want to pour myself into for that quarter, I think about it like that. Like, okay, this quarter, my priorities are going to be this, 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 this. And I make sure that that is feasible by doing this exercise and seeing like, okay, like just generally hours wise, is this feasible for me to do all of these things? And sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't do blank thing this quarter or this year because I want to put more time into blank project. So like henna business, as you know, I do like help with like wedding planning through an agency. I do like videography and stuff like that through an agency, and that's like freelance. Like I just pick up shifts whenever I want, in addition to like the henna business. And then I do like resumes and like professional development coaching and stuff like that on the side. So it's like I put on like, okay, maybe I do like 5 hours a week on this project, and like my henna business, I want to prioritize more, and I'm going to put in 10 hours a week on that. What does this leave me with? And I make sure that, like, when I do that, I have taken out time for like my sleep, my time with my family, my time with my friends. I love doing art, and I've been wanting to try pottery and crochet. So once I subtract all the time of like my full-time job and this and the fun things I want to do, I have time to be like, what else do I want to do in terms of side projects? And then I choose them for that specific quarter or however long that I think I want to at that time. And then I do it. Of course, that's like an in general plan that I have in the year. And then every week looks different. So every Sunday night I sit down and I plan out my week for that week. And some weeks it's like, yeah, if I'm, working a wedding that's like I had to wake up at 4 a.m. for I'm not sleeping that day. So I think there are days here and there that, I've said sacrifice one thing over another. But largely speaking, I'm able to prioritize all of those projects and generally live like a fulfilling life with my own hobbies because I plan out my life in a way. I think many people think they have to do everything at once, and you actually don't. You can do multiple things quarterly as well. Like I worked like 2 weddings this month, and then next month I'm not gonna do any because I have a really big event coming up. And then maybe in the summer when I have more time, maybe I'll work 3 weddings. We'll see. Depends on like my corporate job and like seasonally like how much I can take on. So I generally plan my time week by week. But then I plan out that year in advance, and I sit down and see like what is feasible for me in this phase of my life. What is it that I like doing? What's making me money? I prioritize different things based on whatever I feel like.
Wow, you know what? I'm just like standing here. I'm asking myself, what did I do with my life when I was your age? I'm like guilty and ashamed. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
But
no, please.
this is so impressive. Like seriously, I think you can write a book on productivity. Like seriously. Yeah, like how much? Wow. Like you are more productive than 99, like you're that 1%, right? I'm like, this is so impressive. Okay. Thank you. I took lots of notes. I can't wait to actually rewatch this video myself and take more notes. So thank you. That's my first question. And my second question is that, which is also really my last question. What is your why? You are doing so much. What keeps you going? Share that with us. What is your North Star? Like, what makes you wake
Yeah.
up every day feeling so excited? I'm going to plan this, I'm going to do this and that, and have such a fulfilled life.
Yeah, I would say there's two answers to that. One's a bit unserious, one's like an answer on a deeper, substantial level. I think the unserious but like real answer is like I want to live a life that's fun and I like doing different things. I'm not someone that can sit still and live like a mundane life and sit in front of a computer 24/7 and then go home and then be like I worked and now I have not like I need to feel inspired by my life to feel good about myself and the work that I'm doing. And to add on to that, I actually like working. I know that sounds crazy, but like I like work. I like working on different projects and doing different things and meeting different people, and all of those things like are genuinely fun for me. And so on like a baseline level, it's like I like doing different things because I like I like new experiences, honestly. Like it's fun. I think on a more deeper substantial level, I would say like I I want like even spirituality related, Eastern spirituality related. I often think about my dharma, like my dharma and like what I want to do, what like my purpose of my life. What is it that I want to do as someone who's experiencing this life? What am I here? And so I think like that's a more existential question, but I think talking to different people and doing different things, all of those things help me like on that lifelong journey of figuring out what I'm here to do. Like I think I often ask myself that, and I think if I was sitting around doing nothing, I wouldn't feel good. I am someone who needs to be doing different things and feeling good and trying different experiences to be able to answer that for myself and say like this is I think this is the point of life. Like life is good when I'm hanging out with my friends and working on this project and having a great day at work and trying new foods. I'm such a foodie. I'm like, wow, last night I tried this like new matcha gelato spot that opened at my house, and I was like, this is it. Like I reached this was amazing. This is so good. And I think like just having like a mindset of those things has changed my life. And I like wake up every day and I'm like, I'm excited for the day I have planned. And I think that's why planning helps me. If my calendar's empty, I would feel very sad. If my cal like if I wake up and there's nothing on my calendar, I'm like, ugh, like boring day. Like I haven't felt like that in a decade. I've never had a day on my calendar that's empty. If I show you my calendar right now, it's filled to next for forever. Like I have reoccurring things that I add to my like hangouts with friends, this, that, as well as like actual stuff that I'm working on. And if my calendar is empty, it's a bad day for me. Like I'm like, oh, I have nothing to do today. But because I think I wake up every day, I always have an agenda. Every week when I sit down on Sunday, I have an agenda for every single day that week and like what I want to be doing that day. And that I wake up and I'm like, this is my goal for today. And it doesn't feel like work in a negative sense. It's more so like these are my goals for today. And I'm gonna reward myself every night with my favorite TV show and ice cream. I don't know. Oh my God, Ethan! He's like zoomed
Wow,
on it.
that is so good. So do you feel like you discovered your purpose, your calling, or not yet? You're still,
No, I think and I've like read about this too. I think for me it is a lifelong journey because for me it changes. I think my like innately to me something that always speaks to me is community building, and I think more so being an immigrant here, that's one thing that I always want to do for the immigrant community, for women of color, for people like me, is build community. Um, and in every way, justice related and not, but that I think that's like my lifelong North Star is building community in the form of like to love, to serve, to give. But at, when it comes to like everyday things, my my goals change every week, every month, every couple months. I'm like, this is now what I want to do, and I think it's gonna be lifelong for me. When it comes to day-to-day stuff.
wow. This is my favorite interview. So thank you so much for sharing so
Oh,
much from
thanks.
school, from interview, and also from like a philosophical discussion regarding the purpose of life. So good. And I'm genuinely excited that all the students will have a chance to really learn from someone like you. Because after talking to so many kids, there's no shortage of high achievers. But I think what is different about you is that I can feel the drive is from the inside out. It's you are driving
Oh,
yourself and you are having so much fun on this journey. Whereas for many high achievers, the pressure is from the parents or whatever. I don't feel so much joy as I listen to them sharing their pursuits. But you're so different. Like I said, told you, I can feel your passion, your joy from across the screen.
oh.
And to me, that is such a strong indicator you are going to have an incredible life. This is really the tip of the iceberg for you. This is really just the beginning. And just like, I will not be surprised one day I see you on a magazine cover. Seriously.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you so much. That
Seriously.
that means a
Yes.
lot to me coming from you,
I'm
especially.
not even saying this to try to be nice to you because I'm like, no, but that's really how I feel after you just share everything with me. So, yes. So, so impressed. Yeah.
I
Great.
appreciate that.
Yes.
Yeah, I
So,
want I want to add that like my parents as immigrants, I think have always like pushed me to be the best version of myself, but they've never really had any expectations from me. Because for
mm,
me, like I think their goal was always like they hoped I could be successful in some form, but there was never any pressure in that lens. And they often like yelled at me because I always put so much pressure on myself. Like that pressure was so innate to succeed. And they're like, why are you putting so much pressure? So like
they're
so
now
much
typical
pressure.
Asian parents, okay?
And they would literally be like, what, you can relax. And I'm like, no, like I need to get this done, or I need to do this, or I'm
Oh
working
my
on.
gosh.
And so like shout out to them for always, I would say, like wishing the best for me, but never actually like my pressure has generally been innate to me. And my mom's like,
I
it's
can
okay,
feel
you don't know how
that.
to change the world, like relax. I'm like, no, I want to change the world. I need to do
Yeah.
this.
And I
But
think that's so
anyways,
powerful about your story about this interview. You're just so authentic. You are not saying this, oh, this is an interview. I'm trying to impress someone. But this is so authentic coming out of your heart. And I can really feel it. So, so good. Yes, yes. Great.
thank
You're just so energetic. Yes. Finally, share with us where can people, I will also share your link in the description box, but share with us, like, I assume LinkedIn is the best way for people to connect with you.
Yes, for sure. I'm on LinkedIn a lot. I use it for my work as well. When I do a lot of speaker management and content management for my job. And so I'm usually on LinkedIn a lot. So please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn and write me a message. I usually, and this is something for all the students out there too, don't ever connect with someone without writing a message because then they don't know why you're connecting with them. Always like tell them where you saw them, where you found them. But yeah, if you write a message, I'll definitely connect with you. And I would love, like, I'm always here to like support students in general and people in my community. So
I love
happy
that.
to connect and help out in any way I can.
Thank you. Listen, parents, students, if you want to learn from someone as incredible, inspiring, amazing, all the good adjectives added there, and as pretty, I highly recommend you use the link in the description box to register for my Sidwell summer workshop. So just search Find Your Voice. The workshop is really about helping high schoolers discover who they are, their calling in life, their purpose in life, discover their unique values, unfair advantage, strengths, and weaknesses. And they will have a chance to meet with, connect with incredible young leaders like Pariti and many other student leaders in person. So super excited. And Pariti, thank you so much again for your time. And you know what? We said this was going to be 30 minutes. This is like,
I'm sorry, I talk a lot.
no, this is so good. I have like,
Especially when I come completely unprepared. I come
listen,
in and I talk,
listen.
so I'm so
This
sorry.
is like one, two, like 3 pages of notes. Okay.
Oh my God.
So good.
Wow. Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited for the Sidwell Summer Camp this summer.
Absolutely. I will definitely do more
Be there
collaboration.
or be there missing out, I guess, or don't be there. But I think I'm super, super excited to meet all your students and everyone who participates. And thank you so much for having me.
Thank
I'm
you.
so excited to meet you in person. Yeah.
Yes. Can't wait for that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.